Welcome back, tightwads. Before we get into staining the deck, you need to make sure that you've prepared your deck surface for staining. Click the picture in the middle of the screen to link to a video showing how I prepared my deck. I used a kit called Restore a Deck, which I'm not affiliated with, but worked great in restoring my 7-year-old deck. Alright, it's time to start staining the deck. I have my Armstrong Clark Oxford semi-solid wood stain. I have a paint tray. I have this that does angles. It does inside and outside angles. Holds both ways. I have this painter's mitt, which is kind of like a car wash mitt that we're going to try. I have a paintbrush to get in any cracks I can't get into. I have mineral spirits and paint thinner. It's basically the same thing to clean up with once I'm done. You need a fan to blow the fumes away from you. You need a respirator. This is one I picked up from Lowe's. It's a 3M brand and it's rated for chemicals. And you need some goggles. The reason why you need these three things is that oil-based stain gives off very harmful chemicals that also affect you while you're staining. The smell is really bad and makes you feel nauseous. And then it also burns your eyes. Even if you don't get chemicals splashed in your eyes, the fumes released kind of make it feel like an onion in your eyes. I'm going to start with the railings. We have a slight chance of rain, so I'm going to start with the vertical surfaces because the likelihood of it causing water spots on it is much less. Put down some cardboard to keep it from dripping onto the deck. And I'm going to get started. I will do a few boards to get the technique down, and then I'll show you guys how I'm doing it. Alright, so we are staining the deck, and I'm starting with the railing because I know that's the hardest part. What I have is a painter's mitt. The tip of it ripped when I was first trying, but I found that I like using it kind of like a rag. So I dip it in my stain, and I go all the areas that I can't get with a flat foam brush. So I go in all the cracks with the painter's mitt. And if you look at this section, that part of the process is already done. I bought this foam pad that flexes in the middle that makes it easy to do around angles, but it also does flat surface as well. It has a nice handle, so I just dip it in my stain and I can slide down the front of each spindle and then down the side, and then I make sure I get the back. And you do this all the way around the deck. This is a very tedious process, but it's necessary to do it this way to get a good even coat of stain. Another thing I learned from staining is that you should shake your chemicals well before you begin staining. You can see this section has a nice dark finish. This is the Oxford brown color from Armstrong Clark. And then you come over to this section, which I stained first, and it's not nearly as dark. I didn't shake the stain can properly before beginning to apply the stain, so I have to go back and redo this section again. It cost me about an hour to an hour and a half of work. Staining the rest of the deck is pretty self-explanatory. You can either use a thick napped roller or a foam stain pad similar to the one I used that had a flex in the middle. I chose to use the foam stain pad, and I went between the boards with a brush to make sure I got a good coating. This is a view of the deck after all the staining was complete. Next, you will see the same deck 1 year later. I really like the Armstrong Clark stain that I purchased. It has zero wear after the first year, even though we use our deck regularly for grilling. The color has held up well. I can't see any chips. It is not peeling off in any sections, and that is one of the great benefits of their semi-solid stain. I want to be sure to clarify that I'm not an affiliate or sponsored by Armstrong Clark. I simply did my research, read reviews, and discovered that Armstrong Clark seems to have the best coverage
and the longest lasting color of all the deck stains. I chose a semi-solid stain because it doesn't have a tendency to flake or chip off like solid stains, but yet it blends the two different woods together, since I had new wood and old wood to cover. I also like the dark look of the stain on my deck. Feel free to choose any color you want, but I do recommend that you check out the Armstrong Clark website. I'll provide a link in the section below. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos about home repair. If you want to see how I prepared my deck before staining, click the video in the top left corner. If you want to see a different video showing how I like to install pine straw to make it look like a professional company did it, click the video in the top right. Hope you guys have a great day.